I am live again. This is Rockan. I was streaming about this a couple of minutes ago. I had already done like 15 minutes of video, but I got interrupted because I'm streaming from my iPhone and I got a phone call and it interrupted me, so I have to start over again. Once again, I will repeat the message for the new incoming subscribers. This is primarily a vent channel. I do a lot of video vlogs where I vent. However, I do upload other content like music, and I rarely upload content other than vlogs and music, but I do. So this is primarily a channel where I make video vlogs and vent about things in my life that bother me. Sorry, my face is itching. So, this is a more serious video. I'm going to talk about a pelvic pain disorder called vaginismus. And I believe I have it. I was questioning it more at first, but now I'm not. And I am self-diagnosing because getting a diagnosis would be next to impossible because it takes several specialists, gynecologists, therapists, and counselors to diagnose this because the disorder is rooted in psychosomatic triggers. It's the disorder is deeply rooted in psychosomatic triggers, which cause pain. The disorder is deeply psychosomatic, so it shows no physical symptoms. It's psychosomatic. It shows no physical symptoms, so that's why it's so hard to diagnose. And I also have basic insurance, and it's really hard to get a reference to a gynecologist. My insurance is so basic that I basically can't see a gynecologist unless I have something more serious going on. And the they do have on-site gynecological services at these clinics, but those services are mostly provided by nurses, and the services are mostly provided by nurses or people who are not actually gynecologists, for that matter, and they there's no way they're gonna diagnose it, so I'm pretty much diagnosing myself because I have the literal definition of vaginismus. Vaginismus is literally muscle spasms in the vagina that make penetration either impossible or extremely painful. That's what I literally have. I have the literal definition of it. And why sometimes vaginismus is caused by physical things such as an infection or cancer and all that other stuff. But I have ruled out an infection or any other thing like that because I've had 2 gynecological exams where they've said everything is normal, where they've tested for infections and everything like that. So I know it's vaginismus. According to Wikipedia, vaginismus is a condition that affects a woman's ability to engage in vaginal penetration, including sexual intercourse, manual penetration, insertion of tampons or menstrual cups, and the penetration involved in gynecological exams like Pap tests. This is the result of an involuntary muscle spasm which makes any kind of vaginal penetration painful or impossible. So yeah, the muscle spasms entirely involuntary. I I had made a video 2 years ago coming out about my virginity being broken, because that's something I was insecure about for years, and that's something that was really difficult for me to accomplish. Yeah, you know what happened basically? It's like I can maybe get like about like anywhere from 1 to 3 inches inside me without any pain. And that's all I had gotten inside of me. Basically, only the tip of the penis goes in. And like, yeah. It was like only the tip going in a couple of times. Like I said, 1 to 3 inches without any pain. But that's not really intercourse, because you're not really going in. And I mean, I told a nurse this, and I told the nurse this who performed my first gynecological exam, and she was implying that I was still a virgin. She was like implying that I was still a virgin. So it's even debatable that I had lost my virginity at all 2 years ago, to some. I only considered it losing my virginity because the penis made contact with the vagina, and I thought, hey, that's good enough. So it wasn't like real, true intercourse. And why am I saying that I have this now? Because I had intercourse like, it was like maybe 4 days ago or something that I had intercourse. Today is technically Monday. It's like an hour past midnight. It's technically Monday now. I mean, I had intercourse like at the end of last week. I mean, I had intercourse last week, and that's why I'm determining that I have this now. So like, the first 2 times I consider myself having sex, the first 2 times that I consider, anytime I mentioned the first 2 times I had sex, it was like 1 to 3 inches inside me. I only could get the tip in, you know. It was like the equivalent of only getting, and this is true with like a dildo too or anything else. I'm not trying to, but yeah, I mean, so apparently I can get like a couple of inches in me without any pain, but if there's like any thrusting involved, or you go any further in that, sometimes it's painful. Sometimes like 1 to 3 inches, sometimes it is painful depending upon how forceful you are. If you're really forceful, and aggressive with the way you penetrate, it's gonna be painful for me. For some reason, sometimes I can get 1 to 3 inches in me without any pain. Sometimes. But yeah, I mean, the first time I had sex with my current boyfriend, it was painful. But we had thought, oh, it's painful because you're virgin-like, and that's normal. And I'm like, well, okay. And I just had sex with him again for a second time, and it was extremely painful. Like, I was bleeding, and I know it's because of the muscle spasms. I know it is, because he told me I was spasming. My legs keep locking up, and I did that the first time around too, and he was, you know, thrusting and stuff aggressively, like, you know, he was thrusting, you know, and like, well, sex, you know, good hard sex is aggressive, you know, but yeah, it was like real sex, you know, and it was, you know, the thrusting and all that, real penetration, more than like 1 to 3 inches being inside you. I just alluded to my boyfriend's penis size. Sorry. Okay, he said more than 1 to 3 inches penis. More than just a tip, let's just put it that way. Yeah, so, I mean, the way that they determine if you have vaginismus is if you can't use tampons, which is 100% true with me, because, like, I actually never touched a tampon because I was too scared. I never even tried using them, but, I've never used a tampon in my life, and I'm 21 years old. I had a birthday recently, and I recently turned 21. I probably should have done a video about this, but I didn't, so now y'all know that I'm 21. But, I mean, I don't really mention my age on here too much anyways. But anyhow, that's besides the point. I never did the tampon test, but I did the finger test. I could not stick a finger inside me. I know this is really fucking awkward and shit, but like, when I remember I was a freshman in high school, these girls, you know, they were like having girl talk with me, you know, I think it was this fucking dance class. They were having girl talk with me, and like, they were like telling me about how they could finger themselves and it worked for them, and it didn't work for me. Like, I would try to finger myself and it was like hitting a wall. So that, for me, you know, I think that's the equivalent to like the so-called tampon tests that they use to determine if you have this disorder. And the first time I think I really figured this out, I mean, God, this goes all the way back to, you know, I've used sex toys. I'm not ashamed to say that. I mean, I've tried inserting stuff inside myself, you know, like dildos and all that. I could never get more than 1 to 3 inches in, even before I came out and said my virginity was broken. I could never, even then. I've always struggled with inserting anything inside myself. And I've always had pain, and I could never get a finger in no matter what, but for some reason I could do it better with dildos. I think it's because dildos vibrate. I think that's probably why. But because I had a vibration that's probably why I could sometimes get like 3 inches in because of vibration, but I could never do more than that. I could never like insert half, let alone the full on, you know, let alone the whole thing. Well, a lot of girls can stick the whole thing inside them. I could never get that far. I could only maybe like stick like maybe a third of it inside me. That was it. you know. And that wasn't without pain. There was always some like friction, stinging, burning pain, and this was with lubricant. Okay, this was with me. This was with They often say arousal matters, that the girl has to be turned on, so she's like producing lubricant, so there's no vaginal tearing. Yeah, I was turned on. I was wet. I was turned on. You know, I was even using lube. Okay? And the same thing is true for last week. I was wet, I was turned on, and we were using lube. And yet there was vaginal tearing. And this isn't because of penis size. This is not because of penis size. It's not because of that. Okay? So, I mean, I know I've been having this issue for a long time. And I've always knew there was something wrong with me, because I never could finger myself. I mean, back in the summer, I had an ovarian cyst. And, I think I had vaginismus long before I got my virginity broken. I think I've been having it for a long time. I think I had it long before my virginity broken. Long before I had my virginity broken. But, during the summer, had an ovarian cyst, and it was like the size of a golf ball. It was causing me a lot of pain, and it turns out that I was okay. I had to go to the ER because of the pain it was causing, and they did a vaginal ultrasound. That fucking hurt. That fucking hurt so bad. And I think that's when I started to realize that there may be something wrong with me, because I was like, you know what? I was like thinking to myself, I was like, this is the equivalent of a penis going inside me. Why is this all of a sudden so painful? I was like thinking, like, this shouldn't really be that painful. You know, I had to force it up there and stuff. I mean, I don't know. Vaginal ultrasounds can hurt. They do feel unpleasant, but I mean, the way it was hurting me, I was about ready to go through the roof. That's when I began to think that there was something wrong with me. For the longest time, I didn't know there was anything significantly wrong. But yeah, I mean, looking back on high school and not being able to stick a finger inside myself while everybody else was, maybe I should have taken note of that more, but they didn't. And they didn't give us fucking proper sex education either. Oh, none of us got a fucking sex ed education. We had a health class. They would teach you very basic sex ed. But anyhow, that's besides the point. Then after after going to the ER and getting vaginal ultrasound, I thought maybe I had the next thing was, I thought maybe I had an infection, because I had a very unpleasant smelling odor to my vagina. I had worn panty liners for years to cover up the odor. I was actually making things worse, and I talked to my boyfriend, and he was worried that I may have an infection or something, and not. I was thinking maybe I had vaginosis, because I had like something like vaginosis, one of those kind of things, because I had the odor. I mean, I knew nothing about. I knew nothing about how to take care of your your lady parts and stuff. I knew nothing about that. I knew nothing about how to properly maintain your intimate areas. Nothing about that, because they didn't teach us shit in high school, and nobody goes and takes the extra mile to teach teenagers shit about that. But yeah, I had found out the smell was from I didn't wash, I didn't wash down there. I had found the smell was from something else. But yeah, I mean, that's when I had gotten my first gynecologic exam, because I was worried about having an infection, so I went to health clinic and got a gynecological exam, basically a pelvic exam where they stick speculum in you and shit. God, that hurt so much. Oh yeah, I had went for the roof then too. I felt like I was gonna go for the roof then too. I was stinging so bad. It hurt so much. I mean, the nurse just thought she could ram the speculum inside me. She forced the speculum inside me, just like how they had forced the rod inside me when they did the vaginal ultrasound. She forced speculum inside me, and it was stinging and it hurt. It felt like my insides were on fire. It hurt so much. And when she was fingering me, I was like, I was so vocal. I was so fucking vocal. And she was like, it shouldn't be hurting that much. She was like, it shouldn't be hurting that much. And I swear to God, she was alluding to me having this vaginismus. She wouldn't diagnose me with it or anything. I don't know. I think she would know what vaginismus is because she's in the medical field. I don't know. But I swear to God that she was alluding to this vaginismus. That she was telling me that my legs were locking up and that I wasn't, she was like implying that I wasn't cooperating and that she was losing her patience with me and that my legs were locking up and that, it was so much pain. It was very, it would be just as painful later on when I would have sex with my current boyfriend. It would be, just as painful, later on. And she was like, if you keep, she was like, if, she was like saying something, if you don't, she was like saying if you don't relax your muscles, that sex is gonna be painful and you're gonna hate it or something like that. She was saying something like that, which alludes to vaginismus. She was saying something about my muscles and my muscle spasms, and it deeply implies, it suggests, it's very suggestive of vaginismus. It's a very she was spelling out the exact I swear to God, my nurse that gave me my first gynecological exam was spelling out vaginismus. She was very she was alluding to it. She was telling me that I have the symptoms of it. Yeah. But yeah, she was very impatient. She's not somebody that would want to give me a pelvic exam again. I went to Planned Parenthood to get a second opinion because there was some they didn't do, like, there was some testing that they didn't do. I think they only had done like a test where they I think they had only done a pH test, and my boyfriend was like saying no, they need to look at it under a microscope, and they had only done a pH test. So that's why I went to Planned Parenthood, so they could like look at it under a microscope. They did more than just a pH test. It turns out the gynecological exam at Planned Parenthood wasn't painful at all. And the reason why was, again, only a couple of inches were, she put only a couple of inches of the speculum in me. It wasn't like going in all the way like it was the first time. It was only like a couple of inches. So apparently I have no problem with a couple of inches being inserted into me slowly some of the time. I have no problem with that. I was more relaxed too at Planned Parenthood, and the nurse who performed the pelvic exam was much more easygoing and relaxed and much more patient. Surprisingly, I felt no pain in that one, but like I did something again. She only inserted like about an inch or two of the speculum in me, like maybe about like 3 inches. So, yeah. And she supposedly said that she didn't open me up all the way either. She didn't open the speculum all the way to open me up all the way. So the kind of penetration that is pain-free is very, it's very, like, limited, only a couple of inches. That's the only penetration that I can handle, is a couple of inches very near the opening, pain-free. But the reason why I say I have vaginismus is because I have the muscle spasms. And especially thrusting will cause muscle spasms, but I have the thrusting that comes with intercourse will trigger the muscle spasms, and supposedly I heard vaginismus happens upon entry. I think for me, the vaginismus kicks in when you're when the thrusting kicks in. I think it's when the thrusting kicks in and there's like maybe more than 3 inches inside me or something like that, and the thrusting kicks in. That's when I start spasming really bad and it starts becoming extremely painful. A lot of girls who have vaginismus says that it feels like it feels like needles, it feels like glass. Yes, it does. It feels like glass shards in me. I'm not kidding. It is. I mean, oh God. When I had sex last week, I said to him, I was like, am I giving birth or something? Is this childbirth or something? He was like, well, childbirth is much worse. I'm like, I literally said that while I was having intercourse. I compared it to childbirth because it is extremely painful. It is. If you have vaginismus, it is extremely painful to the point where you can't handle it. I mean, the first time I had sex with him, I essentially pushed him out of me because my legs were locking up so much. I mean, this time I had to basically just beg him to stop. I had to beg him to stop because it was literally that painful. And I was aroused. I was turned on, okay? And I was wet. And we did everything, you know? There was no problems in that department at all. But yeah, you know, I wasn't dry or anything like that. It was not about that. So, I mean, even if the mind is relaxed, sometimes the muscles won't relax. I mean, I've tried inserting a dildo, being turned on, being totally relaxed, and not getting that much of it in me at all. Or not even being able to get a finger, I mean, not getting much of it in me at all, not to mention pain and trying to finger myself, you know, and having the pain. So those are the physical symptoms. So I'm going to put an end to talking about the physical symptoms. Supposedly only like 2 in 1,000 women have this. It's rare. My boyfriend keeps telling me that in all the women that he's been with, that none of them had problems like this. And he was also telling me that we got good emotional chemistry, but we got no sexual chemistry, and it's really sad. And it's literally because of this disorder. We literally don't have sexual chemistry because of this disorder that I have. Now, the good news is this is 100% curable. This disorder is curable because it's deeply rooted in psychosomatic. It's deeply psychosomatic, so it is 100% curable. So basically, my boyfriend and I have to kind of like put our sex lives on hold until this is cured. Another option that I haven't explored yet that I will explore is muscle relaxants, stuff like ibuprofen. I honestly rather find something natural if I can. I'm a girl who likes natural stuff, but that's another route that I probably will explore. But you shouldn't have to take ibuprofen just to have sex. Come on, who the fuck does that? Yeah, it sucks. It really sucks. It really impacts your life in a negative way. If my boyfriend wasn't so patient, if my boyfriend wasn't a trooper or wasn't so patient, I'd be screwed. Because most women who have this, their boyfriends can't handle it, and they just leave them. And it has caused some minor conflict. It has. In my relationship here. So, yeah. But, I think I can get through it, though. It's not like it's not life-threatening. It's curable. They have, like, dilator kits to cure it, to help desensitize your vagina. I'm just pissed off because I'm pissed off that I have this because I have to pour money into it. I will be starting a GoFundMe about this, so it would really help if I could actually get some people to fucking donate this time, because like usually nobody donates. Every time I start GoFundMe, nobody fucking donates, and I get very discouraged. But I will be starting another GoFundMe about this, and there's some other funding websites I recently got introduced to as well. So this is curable. I heard that I heard of this place called Women's Therapy Center that can cure it within like 2 weeks. So but I'm only gonna do that if I absolutely have to, because that's not something within my vicinity right now, but I only do that as a last resort. But this thing can get cured pretty quickly if I heard if you're truly committed to curing this, it can get cured pretty quickly. Like within like 2 weeks in some cases, it can get cured pretty quickly. So I'm gonna fix it. I'm gonna be cured. I'm pissed off because I have to pour money into this because the dilator kits are not cheap. So there's a rare few that are, though, I think, but it's not cheap. It's not gonna be exactly cheap to fix this. So I'm kind of pissed off about that, because that means that I can't. Instead, the money is going towards curing some kind of psychosomatic medical disorder instead of being saved. At this point in time, I really would like to save money for things like a car that I don't have. And when I know that I can't, it disappoints me. But maybe I need to be more patient and stop getting so impatient, because things like, yeah, my vagina is important. I know. My vagina is pretty damn important. But yeah, I didn't know I had this disorder up until now. It's kind of devastating to find it out. I wouldn't have good sexual chemistry with anybody because of this. But it will be cured. It will be cured. And my boyfriend and I will have excellent sexual chemistry once this is cured. That story will change. And we'll have excellent sexual chemistry. I know we will. We will have excellent sexual chemistry. It will be excellent. Yeah, I had written a book entry about this the other day, and I'm looking at it right now because there's stuff in there that I wrote. So moving on to another thing I want to cover in this video. By the way, for anybody who doesn't know a lot about vaginismus, if you look up vaginismus on YouTube, you should watch the MTV True Life videos called "I Can't Have Sex," and you should watch the TLC documentary about vaginismus. A TLC series, Strange Sex. It's called Strange Sex. Did an episode about vaginismus. It's very good, and I can relate to it very much. Because I saw videos about this, including a documentary from TLC, that made me all that more convinced that I do indeed have it. I am not making this shit up. I actually have this. So okay, so it's mostly, vaginismus is described by Women's Therapy Center in the documentary as like a panic attack in the vagina. It very much so is. It's caused by the psychosomatic triggers. Digging into psychosomatic triggers, I've read a list of so many of them on the internet, and they claim to treat this that you also need therapy, and that's sort of a problem for me because of my insurance. There is mental health clinics, but I heard that some of them are around here are like crap. I have to look into that. There's a psychologist at my college that I can talk to, and I might go that route. But I'm mostly wanting to fix my psychosomatic triggers, like through self-help books and talking to my boyfriend. That's how I mostly want to fix it, and writing about it, and initiating the change on my own. But I would like to talk to therapists if I can, because I heard that to fully treat this, that you need to do that to get rid of the psychosomatic triggers. So this vaginismus, women who are sheltered will more likely. It's the condition that's developed through the mind. I heard that it's the mind playing tricks on the body, because the mind tells the vagina to tighten up and to tense up because of fear. This condition is very much connected with fear. Fear about sex and stuff like that. Being sheltered very much brings this on. I am very sheltered. That's one thing I really want to get above. There's other things that I didn't know. There's other issues that I have that I didn't know about that impact my relationship. Like, I was told in the bedroom I'm very particular about how the way I want things to be. And basically, because I have this vaginismus shit, I just took care of myself. And, apparently my boyfriend didn't get taken care of, and like I basically masturbated because I had this disorder. The sex ended, I basically masturbated, and my boyfriend never got off. And, that's something is, something that could manifest into a serious problem. That's a problem that needs to be fixed. And my particularness about the way things I want to be. I was told that I'm kind of stubborn, and I mean, I also, speaking of psychosomatic triggers, I also had an injury. I had an injury to my lady parts, particularly the clitoris, from masturbating. My nail right here, cut it, and basically I cut my clitoris with my nail, and ever since then, things hadn't been the same. I never fully recovered from it psychologically because I don't touch my clit with my hand. I've really never touched my clit with my hand ever since then. I only masturbate with a vibrator, which has a smooth surface. I've developed this psychological fear of basically like fingernails cutting my clit all over again, and because of that, my boyfriend can't touch me down there in that way because I believe that may be correlated with my vaginismus issue. That's something that's psychologically correlated with it. I mean, one way to eliminate the fear of fingernails is to get some gloves, and that's something I'm looking into to help resolve that. And plus, I just conditioned myself. I decided that this kind of finger flicking action doesn't feel good anymore. So, I gotta recondition myself. That's part of the problem. I got a lot of issues that my boyfriend pointed out to me that I didn't know I even had. I thought I had gotten over everything and became an adult. Apparently not. If I don't resolve these issues now, it could not only impact my current relationship, but it can impact my job, and it can impact me down the line. If I don't address these issues, it can impact me down the line. I have a mom who shelters me. I've lived a very sheltered life. It's mostly brought on by my mom. She's religious, despite my efforts to try to break out and get over the stigma of sex, and that people, I was growing up being told that sex is bad, and that when you have sex for the first time that it's gonna hurt, and supposedly because of me being conditioned to perceive it that way, that's part of the psychological triggers as to why I have vaginismus. I was also sexually repressed. I was deeply sexually repressed growing up. So that's a huge part of it. It's a huge part of it. My book that I am currently working on is about, part of my book is about being so sexually repressed growing up. You can probably just see right through the lines in my book, and you can tell how sheltered I truly am when looking for the book, and you can see the sexual repression and stuff that I kept a lot of things inside. I kept a lot of things to myself. And I also grew up watching a lot of porn to help cope with my sexual repression. I believe that I watched porn because I was sexually repressed, and I watched porn to help cope There was some things that I did talk about growing up, but it was limited. You know, what I would talk about, it was limited. I was also sexually harassed throughout middle school and high school by boys. I was also very sexually harassed. So there's a lot of, there's even more psychological triggers for vaginismus. If I do a Google search, I can look some up. I want to end this soon because I got other stuff I need to do. But I just wanted to make a brief video about this because it's something that is impacting my life. It's impacting my sex life. I'm on the computer right now looking at a website. There's somewhere where they listed all the psychological triggers. I was very sad to learn that this is brought on by that this is psychosomatic. I was sad in a way to learn that because I was like, wow, what the hell? What kind of psychosomatic trigger could be causing this? I was like, Jesus, aren't I like everyone else? Apparently not. It says vaginismus this is medical news today. Vaginismus can be caused by emotional factors, medical factors, or a combination of both. Emotional triggers of vaginismus, according to medical news today, is fear of pregnancy, for example. Yes, I do have a fear of pregnancy. I've written about it in my book. For the longest time, I would not seek out dating anyone because I was just so fucking afraid of pregnancy, and I had tried my best to resolve that before dating or having sex, but I had put off having sex for a really long time with anybody because I felt like I was just too sexually uneducated, and I felt like I was going to get pregnant. And when I felt that I was more sexually aware and educated, that's when I decided to seek out sex. That's another reason why I had been a virgin for such a long time. I mean, I am definitely not a virgin now. Say that. Yeah, that one's obvious. Another one is anxiety, performance anxiety, guilt. Yeah, of course I do have anxiety. I do. And I think targeting the anxiety, that's deep. It's really hard to find the root of the anxiety. I have to find the root of what's causing the anxiety. But yes, I do have anxiety about sex. Some of it good, some of it bad. Issues with sexual partner and abusive partner, feelings of vulnerability. Okay, I mean, that one I don't know about. I don't think that there's issues that are that significant that are causing this. Okay. Traumatic life events, rape, history of abuse. Yes, I have had traumatic life events. I haven't gotten raped or anything like that. It was nothing like that, but there are other things that have happened that were traumatic that shaped my life, especially in school. Yeah, if I go into it now, this video will be like 2 hours, so I'm not going to go into it in detail because this video will be like 2 hours long. Childhood experience, upbringing, exposure to sexual images. I do believe that my upbringing, yes, I'm very sheltered. My mom my mom was the type of mom that would keep me inside and not let me go out. Especially like I could go out with her, but I could never go out. I could never, like, I could go out with her or with friends as long as their parents were around. I mean, parents had to always be around in my upbringing. I was brought up with parents always having to be around, and I could never do anything on my own, ever. Ever. The only time when parents wasn't around was when I was at school. But when I was at school, I was getting bullied. I mean, I'm very sheltered. Very, very. You know, there hasn't been very much that I've done on my own. Probably the only thing I've done on my own is going to school, and I'm still very sheltered today. And that's, I guess somehow that's connected with this. And they say exposure to sexual images. I watched porn growing up to cope with being sexually repressed. I guess some of the violent porn could do that, could make you scared. I never was into, like, the violent porn, like the S&M stuff. I was never into that, but I guess that could make you, like, clench up. I guess that could make you psychologically clench up if you watch, like, very violent porn. But I mean, I had seen it, possibly. I had seen it, but I was never into it. But I mean, so for me, it's multifaceted. There's a lot of psychological triggers going on that are making my vagina, like, clench up. Yeah, they describe it as, like, when it comes to sex, people with vaginismus, they clench up into a ball, like, tight wound ball. You know what I'm saying? Like, you clench up into a ball and don't open up, and, like, I also believe that my autism may have something to do with this, because I have, like, mild autism, which is Asperger's. I believe that the Asperger's may be strongly correlated with this, because people with Asperger's are known to be themselves, and to be introverts and all that. And I believe some way, somehow, my Asperger's must be tied in with this. My Asperger's must be tied in with this somehow. I believe that my Asperger's is tied in with this. I don't know quite how, but I think it is connected with this. I also have OCD, so that may have something to do with this. Oh, this is the website I want, vaginismus.com. I'm on the computer, so I can get more content in this video. I'm going to be ending this soon, because I got other stuff I need to do, and plus it's going up 2 o'clock in the morning. There's also the cycle of pain with vaginismus. The first thing that happens is you anticipate pain. The second thing that happens, you have involuntary reaction. It's involuntary, so I have no control over it. And the third thing that happens is the painful sex. The tightness makes sex painful. The fourth thing is the pain reinforces. The fifth thing happens is the bracing. And then the sixth thing that happens is avoidance. And when I masturbate, I'm very particular. I only do it with vibrator. I don't do any kind of penetration or insertion, so I definitely I definitely say that one applies to me, absolutely. I absolutely have been avoiding it, absolutely. And it would make sense why. Yeah, the pain is really, really intense. It's very painful. It probably hurts just as much, if not more, than getting a tattoo. It hurts like getting a tattoo. If not more, you know. Okay, they list the same causes here. They list the same psychological causes here. Yeah, one common thing that I heard is if you think sex is going to hurt before you even start to have sex, it will hurt. Because it will bring on the vaginismus. And that's true with me. Because I was told it was going to hurt. I mean, that's true with me. It's definitely true. Previous unpleasant sexual experiences. Yeah, the first couple of times were unpleasant because I was like, what is this it? You know, that was unpleasant. Because I was like, what is this it? But it wasn't painful though. They say inadequate sex education can cause it. I definitely had an inadequate sex education. I mean, yeah, I have repressed memories, you know. Overly rigid parenting. Yeah, that applies to me. A lot of these things apply to me. Unhealthy sexual emotions. That probably could apply to me. A lot of people get vaginismus from temporary pain or discomfort resulting in insufficient foreplay and stuff like that. Inadequate lubrication. Maybe the foreplay could have been better last time, but like, I did have adequate lubrication, and even when I'm totally relaxed, I still have problems. Even when I'm totally relaxed on my own, I still have problems. This is on my own, even when I'm relaxed on my own, turned on. The point of foreplay is get turned on. I was turned on last time, so I had big problems. But this can be fixed. I just, you know, just have to commit to it 100%. That's all. This can be fixed. I just have to commit to it 100%. And unfortunately, for some money, I want to do some crowdfunding. Hopefully, it'll make things a little bit easier. But I doubt if I'll get a single donation. I think I have to do this entirely on my own, unfortunately. I mean, this disorder is deeply connected with stress, and I'm a highly stressed individual. I get stressed out a lot, and sometimes I get stressed very easily. So, I mean, a lot of this is on a subconscious level. And there's a lot of things I do on a subconscious level that my boyfriend has made me aware of. It would only take somebody who is in a relationship with me to realize these things. So, I'm gonna tried as hardest as I can to get all this stuff. Yeah, they say this website, womenstc.com, Women's Therapy Center. A stressed individual, male or female, may have more than one such body area activated, and indeed, when it comes to vaginismus, it's quite common to see women who suffer from stress activation in several of those body areas, not only in her pelvic floor. Those stress individuals, so I mean, yeah, I'm definitely a stressed person. A lot of them will mistake their vagina for being too small. Yeah, I definitely did. When they describe it. Okay, so I'm reading this website, womenstc.com. It's described as hitting a wall or ripping struggle, sharp pains, burning, pressure. Get bad burning and pain for hours, even days afterwards. Sensation of a needle or a knife poking. Pains in the lower abdomen. You tend to avoid the gynecological examination. And women come up with excuses not to use tampons. Yeah, that's definitely me. Vaginismus is a common yet secretive medical condition that continues to elude clinicians and women who suffer from it. Its prevalence is speculative because most sufferers are too embarrassed to disclose their problem, at risk of being shamed or dismissed, opting out instead to live in silence while believing that they are the only one with the condition. Yeah. I mean, yeah, because of this condition, I was told that I had no sexual chemistry with my partner. I wouldn't have sexual chemistry with anybody. So, it hurt, and the devastation that this condition brings on is deep. It is deep, 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 deep. I supposedly have a less severe version because I'm able to do penetration, but it's extremely painful. I mean, there's a more extreme version. There's a more extreme version of this where nothing gets in there at all. I can't get a penis in there or anything like that because they're so tightened up. I have the less severe version where I can have sexual intercourse, but it's extremely painful. So, oh yeah. I mean, so hopefully I get everything worked out and this will be cured. In regards to my boyfriend and I, our sex life, things we need a reboot. Because of this, we need like a reboot. We need a reboot. We need to start over and reboot. You know, I need a reboot. I need a reset. You know. Basically, with the dilators, you do like pelvic floor retraining. Yeah, I'm only talking about this to it's my way of coping with it. It's my way of dealing with it. I'm told that I bottle up my emotions too, and sometimes I get kind of passive aggressive in my communication because I bottle up my emotions. Another thing I was told. So I really, really want to fix all this stuff because if I don't, it's gonna hurt my relationships and all that kind of jazz is going to hurt. Oh, it's going to hurt all aspects of my life if I don't fix this stuff. If I don't get it worked out, I need to fix myself. I need to fix myself. I really do. I not only need to fix my vagina, but I need to fix myself. I need to apply the whole person approach here. It's not just my vagina. It's all these other things. That I do that bother people. I need to. I need to get these things sorted out. Hopefully, I need to develop a plan. Right now, I'm kind of just like shooting from the hip. I need to develop a plan. I'm making decisions shooting from the hip. I need to develop a plan. I need to write down what my problems are in detail and develop a detailed plan about how I'm going to go about this. Right now, I can't afford anything to treat this. I cannot put the money out right now because I have a seasonal job. So when I'm working again, when I'm back into my seasonal job, because I have a job that is seasonal to school being in session. School's not in session right now. Yeah, my semester starts later. I get an extra long winter break at where I go to school. So when I'm back in the job again and working and earning money again, I will be able to afford to treat this more and stuff. And hopefully, I would love to see some money raised from crowdfunding, but I really don't think it's gonna happen. Anyhow, I'm signing off because I think I've covered everything. It's just really frustrating. Hopefully I get through it. I mean, I cried both times after I had sex with my current boyfriend because of this. And it really stinks. And I was crying last night because of this. It really stinks. And it's enough just having Asperger's and everything. You'd think that would be the only thing I have to deal with. I have to deal with a lot more than just Asperger's. It sucks. It really does.